Hey, Srushti. What's up?
Hi, Aiste. I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad as well. And maybe just for some people who might be surprised, who is this lady? Today at Souls Undressed, we have a very nice guest. I even prepared the rhyme.
Oh,
She is a very old friend of mine with whom we were college mates, internship mates, business mates, just party friends, heartbreak friends. I mean, we went through so many stages of our lives together, and well, today it's very good to see you here, darling. So, how have you
same
been?
here. I've been great. Thanks for such a lovely introduction. When you were introducing me, everything flashed back, your room, the cream rolls, um, gossip girl, coffee, green tea.
Oh my God.
And I think when I had cold, you made me drink neat vodka. That
That's
also
really
stuck
that's the
to
best medicine.
so everything just flashed like it was a beautiful beautiful time in my book of memories I still have Aiste the most fun loving person I've ever met.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's warms my heart. I'm almost getting red now. But in general, just share a little bit. What you've been up to these days? How are you?
Up to these days, so life has changed so much. I'm working as a teacher, so from the very spoiled and outrageous to a career where I have to control the outrageous in my class. So now I'm a teacher. I'm in Abu Dhabi, which is the capital of the United Arab Emirates, and also it has the tallest tower here in Dubai. I'm pretty much busy at work. And also, when I get back home to my second duty, which is of being a mother of two kids, like there's a 1 year old and a 4 year old. So it's like walking on thin ice. So it's pretty good, but it's making me a very strong human being. I've noticed I've been growing consciously and yeah, having fun and really not getting stressed by work. I've just learned, I mastered this like in like the past few months, not getting stressed. Like no matter whatever happens, like even as a tiger going to come in front of me, I'm going to be
Wow,
like,
that's amazing attitude. I mean, that's a lot of a lot of patience learning. I think you used to be like the sparkle. People who don't know you, like Shushti is all over the place, always happening. And now you're so, so concentrated and so like elegantly speaking about the things and slowly. I mean, it's a bit of change there, which is great. You're growing as a person, so for the better.
yeah.
And I was thinking today, as I know I caught you at school and it's busy times. And I thought it would be really interesting to go down the memory lane of our ups and downs of school years, especially that, I was here in Lithuania, you were in India. And I believe the schooling systems and in general, how we felt was rather different. And I guess my first question, knowing you as a student in the university, it would be, were you a naughty girl at school?
Well, not at school. So I have done my schooling in Dubai actually. So I have part education in Dubai as school and college in and university in India. So while I was here in Dubai, oh, I was such a good girl. Like, yeah, not getting myself into trouble, completing my homework in school during the break. So I
Wow.
was really, really very sincere, very focused. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an engineer and very focused. But when I got to university, things changed. So, yeah,
Okay.
that's what school was.
I think I was similar though. I would say I was really good student, but also I really liked studying. I was curious. So for me, it was like doing even the homework and many subjects was quite interesting things. And especially I liked, with all these creative projects where you had to write something, make a collage of something, present something. For me, it was always like driving, not something that you need to take as a frame, but more like, okay, you need to create something and present to the class. I always was super driven by those. And I don't know about you, maybe after I share mine, but for me, my favorite subjects in general were history, literature, biology. And when I was thinking of those, I was thinking also that it was very important what kind of people were teaching the subjects to you, because they made a huge influence. Like, I don't know, I remember, for example, I really liked history, but the teacher was rather demanding to memorize a lot of things and like everything by the book. And that was like kind of removing many students, like to get really deeply interested into it, because it was like some kind of enforced a bit thing rather than initiating curiosity. And I don't know if you noticed the same on your side, that, you know, the teachers actually were representing the subject and you were interested in the subject rather deeply.
Definitely, because I remember we always had good English teachers. So an English teacher's language as such is like you can derail a little bit and talk about life and how this subject applies or this topic applies to life and experiences that teachers would share.
Mm.
So I remember English and history, by the way, was opposite for me because I always had good teachers. And they would talk, and they had so many stories. And especially since we had Indian history, and it's so rich and full of like stories, so it was very interesting. So I remember language, not Hindi. I had Hindi as a subject because Hindi was very difficult. The script is different. But
Mm.
English, definitely. Maybe that's why I landed up to be an English teacher. And I always liked reading. So I always have a book, like, even like I'm super busy now. I do like right now I'm reading this book. It's a
Yeah.
Ikigai. It's a lovely book. It's about the Japanese secret for long and happy living.
Wow.
So I always have a book with me. So as a kid also. So yes, definitely English and history. And subjects which I suffered with was PE. I always wanted to like play basketball and volleyball and all these, but somehow the taller kids, they always had that plus point. And although I wanted to learn, I wasn't trained that way
Mm.
because the PE department always chose like only those few, and they never trained or looked at us as equals. So yeah, I really wish I was part of a match or a team in
Yeah.
school, but I couldn't.
But tell me more about this, because actually for me this sports stuff, I think only when I moved to live in Barcelona and I spoke with so many friends of mine, I understood that I missed a big part of my physical education life from school, because in my school, well, always when it's physical education class, so guys go to play basketball because this is a religious sport in there, and we have the field and we have the balls, so all the guys go to play basketball, and the girls, well, girls just run somewhere around the school or run to the lake and back, always the same. And it's like at that time, I of course I enjoyed it, because it's like the time when you like gossiping, blah blah blah, running around and basically doing nothing, which is great stuff at school, just to be with your, you know, friends. But now I feel like my friends around, they were doing volleyball, they were doing football, some of them basketball, some of them swimming as well, and many other sports which, you know, I didn't even get introduced to at all until, you know, I reached adult and I tried to independently explore them. And I feel like I would have loved now to be able to already have the skills of some of these sports, just to kind of pick it up again. But I didn't have anything. I literally was like, you know, I just, okay, I hold the basketball ball in my hands, but apart from that, it was like really nothing more. Did you feel the same, or were you exposed at least with the basics to some of the sports?
No, it was just, I remember still like in secondary, it was just the exercise, or they would make us run around like a big circular field. And once we done the running, just some freehand exercises. And that's it. Then there were some chosen girls who were taken because I was in an all girls school, so we didn't have boys there, which, by the way, big part I missed. Maybe that's what I went crazy in university because I got to see guys of my age. I couldn't handle it, or they couldn't handle it. So, anyways, so yeah, the girls would get chosen, and they were like the VIP, and we were like I felt like it was like casteism, like.
Mm.
They were chosen and we were just left to play games like just hide and seek or something not very intelligent, just running around. but
Yeah.
no lake. I was in the desert. At least the lake would have made it better.
Okay, but that's, yeah, I feel like this is the part where maybe now it's a bit improved, I hope, but I wish we would have much more than that. And like when I speak to my friends, I get a bit jealous that, I mean, I have some friends who are my age and they still don't know how to swim, like from Lithuania. And I would imagine, just this is like a very basic useful skill to have in your life, right? But somehow it's never been taught, or we've never, like with school, went at least once to the swimming pool to kind of get exposed. It's just an example, of course. I understand it costs more money and so forth, but I don't know, to have just volleyball is basically just buy the balls and the net. It's like it's rather easy to set up. So I was thinking that for whatever reason we didn't have these experiences, and this is maybe one of the things that I right now as a conscious adult thinking, I wish I had it, because the rest of the subjects which I also wanted to talk about. When I went to India, I remember some of my college mates used to say that, oh, when we were studying at school, actually, first of all, it's very strong hierarchical style, and the teacher has a very high authority. And also, I know that some of them used to tell me about light physical punishment, like getting with a ruler on fingers and stuff like that. Do you recall any experiences?
Oh yes, for this I remember like I think two. One was when I was at a play group, and one was when I was in grade four. I remember the teacher. I know her name also. It was Susan. I hope
Don't
definitely
expose.
she's not going to listen to this. So yeah, it was. I got hit by the ruler when I was in the play group, and although we were in Dubai, the teachers. Since I was in an Indian school, the teachers were Indian, so they still had that culture with them. So yeah, I got hit by the ruler, and it made me feel very like I felt very insecure at that tender age when I got hit by the ruler. I felt very insecure. I felt very scared of teachers. Like the kind of cool teacher I am, my students say, I love you, we miss you. I would never dare to say such things to my teacher.
Yeah.
And they make cards for me. And it's very sweet how, because I'm friendly with my students, how they respond to me and how they complete their work because they know we don't want we want to keep her happy as like there's a personal touch. But
Mm.
back then, yeah, the play group and the grade four was someone else did a mistake, blamed it on me, and like even
Oh.
being an adult at this age, when you recall that, you become that child again who was hurt. And I remember she slapped me on the face, and I was like, and I 100% didn't have any say in that, and I was the victim. And I felt really, really, really hurt. And she was a very good teacher. I still like her. She was my class teacher. But after that, I just felt very like betrayed, and I just felt like not connected with her.
But would you say that it was like not I wouldn't say normal action, but it was something that the teacher could do and not receive any how to say anything for that? Like basically right now, if you hit a student, you might really actually be kicked out of the
Yeah.
school. Was at that time more it's more useful to have this kind of little punishment for the student?
Well, I didn't complain any about this. So the action would be taken if maybe I would have complained, but I didn't complain. But I did get back home and tell my mom that. But I tried to save the teacher actually. So I thought that it's my fault. I never imagined that my teacher would be in trouble because of me, because at that age you don't know how systems work and how she's under someone and there's a boss above her and all this. So for me, she was the boss. I'm like, if I exaggerate this and tell it to my mom, the teacher would get angry with her as well. So because that dictatorship was such so strong that I just didn't yeah, put it forward to anyone. I just accepted it and gone.
I mean, I cannot imagine like in my school if there would be any physical punishment, barely imaginable. I mean, my parents, yes, I know that when they were going to school, it was quite normal to get hit by the ruler on the fingers if you're like misbehaving or whatever comes to the teacher's mind. But in my school, I think the teachers and the students were very, very knowledgeable about their rights And so, like they could speak whatever, and the teacher, of course, would not be able to do much of the things that would mean touching or in any way, harming the student, which I think it's great upgrade. Another thing which I recall, I actually recall it even from my university years in India, that one of the strong ways of teaching students was also kind of making sure that, whatever is in the book, that is the correct thing. And it was not very strongly encouraged to explore like outside, like independent thinking, what could be if would be, it was not very strongly encouraged. Would you say that is also the memory that you have, or not really?
Well, yes, I remember the books we had, like for science, we would have three different books, like biology, chemistry, and physics. And there were lots of textbooks. And nowadays, like my students, they don't have so many textbooks. It's like, and no more extra books. Like we would buy extra books for extra practice. It's like very inquiry based now. So, but if I compare it to what I was, yeah, textbook. And plus, we didn't have internet. If we wanted to explore, also, resources were quite limited. So, if someone, like when I would get to my friend's place, they would have this whole collection of Britannica encyclopedias or whatever version of encyclopedia. And I would, because they were very expensive back then, so we didn't have them. But some of my friends who had, I would like try to match the topics with my textbook and try to read more. So
Yeah.
I think because of the absence of the internet and access to knowledge on your fingertips, that we didn't explore more. So it was just textbook was like the ultimate Bible, like ultimate window, the only window to knowledge. That's it.
But I would even go further. I recall, for example, the let's say like the local exams, where the more the closer you memorize the subject book, and the more of that text you use in your answers, the higher grades you have, or the higher grades you get. And I always used to think, okay, it's great to memorize the book, right? But if you don't really even think what you're writing, or you don't even like have your own words to express it or really to understand it, I believe that whatever things I memorized, next day I don't remember, because I memorized them specifically for the exam, knowing that it will bring me the higher grades. And there were some subjects where the teachers were actually pushing mainly for the memorizing, learning through memorizing, which I don't think, hopefully now I think it's a bit more different way of teaching, and there are loads of different projects happening. But do you recall also on your side that whatever is written in the book, and the more precisely you retell it, it also might bring you higher evaluation?
Well, I remember this was the case in lower grades, but in higher grades, all that mattered was how you like the points, just the points should be there. You can write it in your own words. So I used to do this kind of trick thing, like where I would write like points and highlight it with like some underline it or write it in italics or bold, just to
Yeah.
show that okay, this is straight away taken from the book. This is the point, and the rest would be like maybe if I could write a song also, they wouldn't really scan through that. They just saw the point and they knew that this person knows it. So I used tricks like that. So, but we were allowed to write in our own words, no strict memorization, and especially for social studies because they had such long answers. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we had little bit of a freedom when we came to older grades, like from grade 9 onwards, to write by our like our understanding.
Mm-hmm. And were you using a lot of cheat sheets during exams, like something sneaky, for example, you can name some
Oh,
answers, or other than pencils? I'm sure you were. Just what I'm wondering where.
not in school, but yes, in university. So I did some bad stuff about cheating in university. I had a pen, which the pen was like this, like straight, and it had like a rolling paper inside. And when you pull it, you can actually read. And if you leave it, it goes back in. So I got this at an exhibition of some petroleum companies. I picked up like three, four of them.
Oh my
I
God.
tried that. I tried micro photocopying the pages I had, like. some of my, so yeah, it's bad. I was like confessing to you on air.
No, but come
So
on.
my,
I mean, it's great.
someone might just get ideas.
I mean, you know what?
No,
I
I get
also
that.
It's true. Used to also write like in a micro kind of level and fold it somewhere, like, like hiding in the hand or under the paper. And actually, I even have to say, me and my best friend with whom we used to share the desk, so there are two people sitting in the desk, we developed even more advanced cheating system. So especially for literature classes, what the exam usually is going like, when the teacher has to read a text, you need to write to make sure that the commas are there in the correct places. The specific symbols of Lithuanian language also has to be in specific places. So me and her, when the teacher is dictating, you need to write. And you cannot look because she's looking very carefully. Your eyes need to be on the paper. So what we used to do, under the desk, our legs used to touch. And every time there is a comma or there is a special symbol, we used to make our legs like this. Okay, if we think that it's now a comma, we put like this. Maybe, for example, only her thinks that it's comma. So when she does like this, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm incorrect. So maybe I need to review if there is a comma or not. So,
Oh my God.
we had a very
Wow.
advanced system under the desk.
Wow.
And the funny part, I remember once a teacher, for whatever reason, she was like, let's split everybody who sits together. And she split us and everybody else. And that during that exam, we both scored our lowest because we could not use anymore the collective decision making. And we were like, kind of stressed and nervous. And we were like, whatever.
Wow, that's a lovely story. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's nice.
So we had a lot of these little cheat sheets kind of ways. But I personally don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because honestly, the time I spent preparing the cheat sheets, the information level and stuff, I think I also have learned the stuff that I'm planning to use during my exam. And sometimes I even recall later in university years, I was a lover of cheat sheets, to be honest. Later in university year, I used to prepare cheat sheets, even knowing that the possibility that I will be able to use them probably is up to 5% because it's such a strict environment, like the observation of the teacher and stuff like that. But I used to prepare them just for the feeling of some kind of, you feel safer to have something if you really need it. Plus, when you make it, you memorize some of the info in a really kind of nice way. And I don't know, I just used to make it sometimes just for the sake of feeling safer inside.
Like a life jacket.
Yes, exactly. Like putting life jacket, though you know how to swim, and probably there will be no storm, but just in case, feel safer.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice story.
Yeah. And just because I'm being cautious also of time. Now, before we started call, I know that you were eating. I saw your lunchbox.
Okay.
Oops. There's something from your teeth also hanging here.
No,
I'm kidding.
I checked it.
So I'm just curious, as a child going to school, were you having lunches at school? And if you had or you brought your lunchbox, how was it happening? Like, how did you prepare it, or what did you have there?
Yeah, so the story about the lunch box is when I was in school, my mom used to prepare, but then she stopped preparing after grade 2 because she had my little brother, and she used to stay up a long time in the night. She couldn't wake up really early to make my tiffin. And I was just in grade 2. So I was like, what, 7 years old? And I learned to make my own lunchbox. So I was like really proud of myself at that time. But yeah, my lunch boxes wouldn't be that great because I was making it. So it would be just like mayonnaise on bread without anything else, or maybe just sliced cheese in bread, which is not melted. So it used to be dry. But then I felt like even now in life, when I feel low, I remember, okay, you're the girl who made your lunchbox when you were 7. So you can survive any storm.
Yeah.
So that was lunchbox, and I started becoming creative at it, better at it. Then I learned to fry burgers, the frozen burgers, and make hot dogs. So yeah, So I became pretty independent, and mostly it was sandwiches because they're very easy to eat and then probably play and then do homework and all these stuff. So I would have sandwiches. Once in a while, it would be sometimes mom would feel like, okay, she needs to cook something. But my brother became big as well. So she had time on her hands. So she would once in a while make pasta or stuff like that. But it wasn't very healthy all the time. I didn't have like fruits or stuff.
Mhm.
Maybe because there was not much of awareness back then on what you should eat and not
Yeah.
eat. So it was just carbs like uh, bread and sandwiches. That's it. But
Mhm.
now, since like I'm not got out of school because it was in fact I just want to share this. It was my brother's birthday yesterday, and he turned 27. So we were just discussing. So he was saying, I still feel like I'm 22 or 23, and he's like, what do you feel like? I don't. Well, I feel like I'm 14 years old because right now my career I'm teaching grade 9. So it's like I'm stuck there. Still, we have our break period and we open our lunch boxes and eat. Still
Ah,
we have morning assembly. Still we have the national anthem where we have to stand straight. So my age or like my mentality is stuck in kind of school. When I'm here, I'm like a student. A part of me is still alive.
ah,
So
it's
now
nice.
my lunch boxes are different. So like I still have my lunch box, yeah, and the kids are eating and I'm eating. But now the lunch boxes are like salads and sorted vegetables, and it's pretty healthy. And this thing is a wireless blender, so I make a smoothie for me.
Ah,
I have like berries and yogurt and oatmeal and chia seeds, and
that's
it goes like
awesome.
this.
That's really good. This is not a paid advertisement, by the way, everybody.
No, it's just I'm just showing you props so that you look at stuff, how it is.
But I still think you had a really how to say, not like healthy, but not necessarily healthy, but also quite dedicated way to have lunches. Because I will tell you honestly, in my school, well, I don't know, my parents never really how to say, prepared any lunch boxes because I think it was not a thing. Basically, what used to happen, I used to have a really filling breakfast, and when I go to school, my parents give me like some pocket money, I don't know, a coin or two, to basically get something at school. But you know what I used to do? So I used to use part of that pocket money. I used to buy either chocolate, chocolate muffin, or some sweet bun, whatever sugar related, because maybe for the brain at that time it was like I need sugar. I used to eat it with whatever, water or something else, or tea, and the rest of the pocket money I used to put into my like saving account and use it for whatever later things that I want. And it used to be years in and years out. My kind of brunch or lunch would be just something sugary, and then when I go home around, I don't know, between 3 and 4, I have something at home already, like kind of late lunch thing. And when we speak about lunch boxes, I did not even know the concept of lunch boxes since I probably went to India and started working for some internship, because that's where like people used to bring lunch boxes, and I was like, oh, how interesting, because I grew up with no lunch boxes.
Oh yeah, I remember. Even I used to not get lunchbox at the internship place. We would go down and eat something. Yeah,
Yes, good old times. Okay,
yeah.
nice. Okay, so food we have. I'm just thinking all the other things that were happening in school that we might want to touch because it's something that could bring difference. Do you have any ideas?
Well, if you're talking about crushes, I do.
Go on, Srushti. I know you love the love topic.
No, but I see, I was in all girls school, so we never knew guys, right, of our age. So we would have celebrity crushes. So Prince William was always my crush,
Oh my
and I think
God,
he'll
really?
still be till death do us apart. So yeah, that was I used to be like, I'm going to UK, I'm going to get hold of him.
Oh, interesting. And what about local crushes?
Um, I
Shah Rukh Khan was not your
I
crush?
who?
Shah Rukh Khan.
Not really. It was more like the dad category. I looked at him like that, but
Okay, Ranbir Kapoor.
Ranbir Kapoor just came now. Maybe my daughter would have a crush on him later.
So which
But yeah,
one?
I think there was this singer. He's still very famous, Sonu Nigam.
Hmm.
So yeah, I because he was such a good singer and still is. So yeah, his voice. So artist, I have this thing for artists, like good respect for artists.
Oh, that's nice. Good crushes, good choices. But I remember you were always like, you always dreamed to become a princess. So I am not that surprised that you had a crush on Prince Williams, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never been to any, only one gender school, universities or colleges. So for me, it's kind of hard to imagine because I think in my school where it's like mixed genders, we always used to have tiny bit of crushes on somebody, from parallel class or from your classmates or from somebody like more like real blood and body and whoever is like around. So
Yeah.
I'm
That's true.
not
It's
even saying,
it's a it's such a normal way of growing up, having a mixed gender school, and I think because of that, girls from all girls school, like here it's all girls. The school I'm in, it's like they are not normal, right? When they come out, they have to face those challenges because, anyways, workplace wherever you go in the world is going to be mixed gender. So
yeah.
it's not preparing them for that kind of healthy conversation, like have a healthy conversation without feeling awkward about it or being competitive about it. So yeah, it's one big part of life missing.
Yeah, but do you feel then in your school when, let's say, I don't know, probably you still like at some point went to the mixed gender school, right? You moved to mixed gender,
Mm.
or so was it like I can imagine it must have been like quite a shocker suddenly to be exposed to so many like boys and also like the way they are like I don't know, body wise, the mind wise, it's rather different.
Mm.
And you come like from this virgin land and suddenly it's like I think it kind of you become a bit more curious and like more like what's going on and like is it like a bit
Yeah.
more like stimulating than at that point?
Of course, yeah. Like I remember going to college, and in our college also, girls would make a group, like because engineering college, very few girls in each class. So we would be like seven girls, maybe, and all rest boys. So it was like no boys to like 45 boys in a class and only seven girls. And I would be so conscious, like I would feel like the difference in my breathing, like an animal sitting next to me, like because a man, like a boy, would be like as foreign as an animal, like an alien animal, like
But
next to
also
me, having a
pheromones,
different
the ones
voice.
you never smelled before because you're not
I was
around
just
them.
going to say that. I was just going to say that. So, like, guys, they smell different. So, like, they smell different. They look different. They have this voice, and they're so tall. So, like, all of that would be intimidating. And it took some time for me to accept this as a new normal.
Mm.
So yeah, and I think it took not like time, it's just few months. It was like at least you can say 2 years or 1.5 years. Yeah. And even with the teachers we had in all girls school was all female. And then we had professors, male professors, and they're correcting you and they're kind of making fun of you when you answer something wrong. And I would be like, oh God, nervous. But yeah.
Wow. But then were you like as a girl, you coming back, I mean, you are exposed all day through to only females, and you go back home and basically you still have, your brother, you have your dad, you have probably some uncles. Were you questioning like, hey, like it's weird that I'm going and I'm only studying with females? Oh, that was never like really on top of your head, like why am I?
Maybe, mhm. Maybe because I was the eldest sister. So, and my brother was way too young. Like he was like 6 years younger to me. So he was not like the same age group. And dad is like that. So I never felt. Yeah, I felt very comfortable with them, and I didn't want to be with around guys because I was so comfortable with being with females and only having my brother and dad as the men in my life that even when I was going for my college, like engineering, was choosing from university, I was like, there's an all girls university. I found out an all girls university in Pune, and I was like, I want to go there. I want to go there. I don't want to
Oh
be in like a
wow.
mixed gender university. I felt like really very unsafe, like going to a mixed gender.
Hmm. How interesting. Okay, last question because we're approaching some time, and I know this is something that is curious for everybody who never been to all girls school or all girl colleges. But would you say then there is more like girls are becoming more curious about girls in these kind of locations, or not really?
Well, at least I wasn't so curious. So I wasn't so curious, but there used to be groups of girls that would be giggling and speaking about things, and I don't know, like yeah. So I don't know what they were up to, but they always look like they were up to something that's yeah,
But would
forbidden.
you say like, if you see like any girl, like, I don't know, girls kind of having like a couple, a girl and a girl?
Yes, yes. So like in our class, we had like a famous couple. They would be very close to each other, and I was best friends with her. Like not best friends. I wanted to be her friend. She was very pretty, but there was this other girl who was like a basketball player, and she had a masculine side of. So she would be with this girl, and she would hold her by the waist and all, and everyone would gossip stuff and use words like lesbian, which I didn't know at all. So and I would feel jealous because I'm like, I want to be friends with her. I want to talk to her. And this girl comes and holds her by the hand, holds her by the waist, and they're dancing and they're playing. And, I don't like it. I don't like her. Like, so I felt I'm being jealous of another girl because she's being friend with a mutual interest. So I think that it does exist. They were like a few girls, like always holding hands and sitting very close to each other. So this
Okay.
thing was there.
Well,
Yeah.
I think jealousy for the friendships was even like in, let's say, I don't know, in these gender mixed schools, like, I guess it's just the teenage years when you like, oh, you want to have the best friend, and if the best friend is looking to make friends with somebody else, you're kind of getting a bit jealous, and the attention that you get, or the time you spend together. So I guess these kind of situations just happen everywhere. But it's like really interesting, this part of like, all girls school. And I remember, by the way, when I met you, and I always, in the beginning, I used to think like, oh my God, you're so like bubbly and confident about around guys and stuff like that. But also on another hand, I felt like you were so like, sometimes you can get you can be naive, probably because of some of the experiences that you maybe didn't have like at some teenage years of like, like I know guys are like blah blah blah, and then whatever, they talk a lot and they don't do, or whatever. Like you kind of learn through these, being all the time with them in one environment, you kind of learn the way they behave, the way they think, I think much faster. And if you are deprived of that experience, maybe it takes you a bit more time to catch up. I'm just guessing, by the way. It's more like
Mm.
a personal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I didn't understand guys' temperament or how they are, right? So I suffered in my early relationships, which I had a little bit like everyone has in school or in college, sorry, university. So it was like I just knew the feminine, caring side of a woman. Like that was like human nature for me in general. So I suffered because I never understood that men are like this and how they express things and all. So I suffered that, but. Thankfully, I did had a lot of practice before I actually got married. So now I totally understand my husband because my husband has got all this macho thing in his because he's from physical education. So he's not like the guy with a very strong or enough of feminine side. He's like all masculine, masculine. He's like, okay, yes or no, or like, not emotional. But I don't feel like hurt or anything because I can accept him. So yeah, it took me so many years to understand how to be around men and not really take it to heart.
No, but that's nice. I mean, through the years, you live and learn, and you move that. Even if you didn't get, I believe always that even if you haven't learned something, let's say when you were a year 12, you can still learn that stuff when you're year 32. Of course, it probably will affect your life one or another way, but learning is always available to you if you reach for it. So that's a good
Definitely.
ending point to finish. And I don't know if you have any last words on school or on general motivational things, or for the better day.
Okay, yeah. So what comes to my mind now is just flying thoughts. Is like as you're saying, learning is a continuous process. So like I would say all the viewers here and souls undressed that yes, always be a learner, always be a student. Never think that you know it all. No one ever knows it all. It's the universe is like so huge and so complex. We can never know it all. But always be open. Always be open for new ideas, new inspirations, open towards people's attitudes and accepting them. And then you'll see that there's really no hurdles in life. It's like just a smooth walk.
Oh, that's
So yeah,
beautiful words.
always be a student.
Thank you so much, Srushti. It's a pleasure, a huge pleasure to catch up with you. And thanks for your time from busy school life.
Thank, thank you so much. I really enjoyed meeting you online like this after so many years, and that too we are being recorded. So I'm really happy that we could make this happen. All the
Yeah, and I
best.
hope to catch you soon then. Okay.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye. Take care.